Good morning. We come today to the story about Phillip in his travels, meeting up with an Ethiopian official traveling home to Ethiopia from Jerusalem. At first sight, it appears like a straightforward story of a meeting between two people and a man getting converted and being baptized. But as you look at it, you begin to wonder why Luke included it at this particular point. And I think he is dealing with an ancient mystery which has caused confusion to people for many, many years. And the mystery is simply this: what happened to the Ark of the Covenant? What happened to the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant, as you know, was in the Holy of Holies, and the mercy seat was above it. But when Nebuchadnezzar's armies invaded Judah and took over Jerusalem, they went into the temple and they went into the Holy of Holies, and it was empty. There was nothing there. What had happened to the Ark of the Covenant? Now, I think there are two main stories. The one is that Jeremiah, and this is recorded for us in the book of the Maccabees, just before Nebuchadnezzar's armies invaded, Jeremiah persuaded the priests to take the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat out of the Holy of Holies and to hide them in a cave near Jerusalem, and to disguise the cave so that no one could find it. And that cave was supposed to stay there, protecting these objects until the end of time. That's one story. But there is an enduring story as well. And that is that it did not take place at that point just before Nebuchadnezzar invaded, but it took place during the reign of Manasseh. Isaiah was then the main prophet in Judah, and during his ministry, he persuaded people, because of the evil reign of Manasseh, to go into the Holy of Holies, to gather up the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat, and to take them from Jerusalem down into Egypt. Yes, into Egypt, where they would be protected from Manasseh's reign and from the different changes that he wanted to make. That this Ark of the Covenant, taken down there, was cared for by a Jewish community, probably on Elephantine Island. But later it was transported to different places and finally ended up in a place called Aksum. Now, if you go to Aksum today, you'll find that there is there a church. And if you look it up on the internet, you'll find there is a church in Aksum with Orthodox priests protecting the Ark of the Covenant. And if you ask them about this, they will be told that, yes, they have the Ark of the Covenant. In fact, the Bishop of Aksum was asked just in the last year, "Do you have the Ark of the Covenant?" And he said, "Yes, we do. We have it. It's under our protection, and it's been given to us to protect until the Messiah comes, until Jesus returns." Now, that's a strange story, and yet it has a lot of history behind it, that this particular object is being protected there until that particular time. Now, I think that this story of Phillip meeting this Ethiopian eunuch is quite simply the queen of the Ethiopians had heard about strange things happening in and around Jerusalem, about this person who may be the Messiah, and she'd sent her chief minister to look into these events. But when he had arrived in Jerusalem, he found that this person he was looking for had been crucified. And he was now setting off on his journey back home when he meets up with Phillip. And I'm sure he, if that was his role, was wondering about what had happened and what is going to be happening in the future. But after he's met with Phillip, and Phillip has explained to him who Jesus was, and how he had died, and how he had risen from the dead, and how he was coming back again, this man was baptized and went on his way back to the queen of the Ethiopians, with a simple message. And the simple message was this: yes, we have been given responsibility for looking after the Ark of the Covenant. Yes, this man in Jerusalem was the Messiah, but he's been crucified, risen from the dead, returned to heaven, and now his followers are waiting for him to return. Yes, we have to look after the Ark of the Covenant until that takes place. And for at least the last 2,000 years, they have been doing it. There are monks that are appointed in that particular church whose only function is to look after this ark and to make sure it is kept secure. And one day, when they hear about the return of Jesus and when they experience his return, it'll be their responsibility to transport it back again to Jerusalem, where it can take its place in the new temple from which Jesus is going to reign. Amen.